Kugan Cassius IFL TV in association with Macklin Gym Marbella. We're in Birmingham here today for the announcement of Resurrection, May 9th, here in Birmingham. Big time boxing comes back to Birmingham. Do you know what?
Had you up on the stage.
Do you know what? I didn't know, because you didn't tell me, that he was back. Which is great.
It's great for you, considering you're sponsored by
him.
Macklin's Gym Marbella.
All the top names from Birmingham, one show. Birmingham hasn't had boxing like this for years.
No, and the amount of tweets and messages we've got over probably the last 2 or 3 years. When are you going to do a show at Birmingham? When are you going to do a show at Birmingham? And we needed the right time and the right excuse to make it happen. Now, we announced the signing of Frankie Gavin, British Commonwealth WBA Intercontinental Welterweight Champion, number 10 with the WBA, 5 with the IBF. We're going to put the fun time back in Frankie Gavin. It's been miserable for too long. I told him. He come into my office. I said, do you ever smile? I said, have you ever enjoyed your career? He said, no. I said, right, that's all going to change. I want to see you smiling. I want to put the fun time back in Frankie Gavin. Let's go and have some fun. Let's go and enjoy it. Love your job and you'll never have to work another day again.
Honest opinion. When Frankie...
You love your job, don't you?
I love it, I do.
Does it feel like work to you? Honestly.
It is work, but I love it.
But it's the same. What I'm saying is, listen, we're privileged, we're in a job. I love my job. It's a pain in the arse sometimes, but I love it. And when I go to work in the mornings, I don't feel like I'm going to work. Sometimes I'm tired, sometimes I'm ratty, sometimes I've got the but I love every day. It's a bit like you. You don't feel like it's a job, you know, so it's the same with these fighters. What a great opportunity. Frankie Gavin. You can box on Sky Sports, you know, the biggest platform. You can box any time you want, any show you want. You're going to box on a Kell Brook card in front of 11,000. You're going to headline at the NIA. Smile. Smile. All your worlds are seven. Smile.
Honestly, what did you make of Frankie Gavin since he turned professional after the Olympics up until now? Before you signed him, what were your opinions about Frankie Gavin as a fighter?
Just that he's very talented. I think he's been put in some stinking fights, which he knows. You know, to match a fighter with his style, against the likes of Bradley Skeet, David Barnes, even Jason Wellborn, Bradley Price, the guy he fought from Ghana. I mean, you're not going to see the best of Frankie Gavin. Matching with the likes of Denton Vassell, you're going to see an exciting Frankie Gavin. But I just feel like Frankie's one of those buzz fighters. It's like James DeGale, right? James DeGale is a buzz fighter. He's Jack the lad. He's a little bit cocky. He loves to be buzzing. He walks out in a shopping centre with about 500 or 600 people in there, and he's got his head down. He walks out in front of Wembley Stadium with 80,000 people there, and he boxes like that. He walks out in front of 10,000 sellout in Liverpool. He boxes like that. Frankie's the same. Watch him go on the big stage. You've got to be buzzing, and he's that kind of fighter. So much skill, so much talent. But if you ain't up for it, you ain't up for it. And that's the bottom line.
So you have been, you're saying you have been a fan of Frankie's?
I know how much ability he's got.
Yeah.
And if you're referring to the fact that I said that him against Bradley Skeet would put a glass eye to sleep, you're right. It was horrendously boring. But that fight was always going to be boring. But let's match him right. Let's put him in the right fights and see him go. But also let's get him buzzing. So even if he is fighting fights like that, he does the job in a much more professional and exciting way.
Is Sam Eglinton closer to a fight with Frankie Gavin than Frankie Gavin is closer to Kell Brook?
Well, you've just used one of our discussions in the car on the way out, aren't you?
Well, I wondered.
It's probably about the same. Frankie Gavin, at the moment, is definitely not on the radar for Kell Brook in the next 12 months. If I'm going to make a Frankie Gavin and Kell Brook fight, which, by the way, in time could be huge, I've got to build him right. I need to make that a huge pay-per-view fight where both fighters, particularly Kell Brook, can earn a fortune. Nowhere near that yet. So we need to build him. But he's not far away. Sam Eglinton is chasing Frankie Gavin. Like Frankie Gavin is chasing Kell Brook. But that's not on the radar either. Frankie's rated across the governing bodies, British Commonwealth champion. Sam Eglinton's coming up on the blind side. Sam Eglinton is one of the most exciting fighters in the country, and people are going to get to really, really enjoy and progress. So in answer to your question, similar.
You like doing that, matching your own fighters. I said a couple of years ago that you wouldn't.
Listen, on Saturday, I'm matching 4 of my fighters against each other. Tommy Martin against Ricky Boylan, Hibbert against Goodjohn, and I've told you before, it ain't, it's not nice because I've got a lot of time for all those kids, and 2 of them are going to be devastated on Saturday.
What can you tell us about your Matchroom's deal with Frankie Gavin? Is it over
It's a 5-fight deal.
5-fight deal? Okay. Did you pin where them fights are going to be? It's got two already.
World champion in 5 fights.
That's a big statement considering Kell Brook is one of your fighters, one of the champions welterweights, and the other 2 are Mayweather and Pacquiao.
We need to get him in a mandatory position. And by the way, in 5 fights' time, who knows whether Pacquiao and Mayweather will hold 2 belts, or if, 1 frees up, or whether Pacquiao's still going. 5 fights is 12-18 months.
Yeah.
So I'm not really. Of course, the world title is the long game, but I've got a big job to do on Frankie Gavin first. Big job.
Okay.
And what about boxing in the Midlands? This is going to sell out. I mean, roll on the NIA, mate. It's going to be a great night.
We've definitely pumped the names out for it, Macklin, the Afai brothers.
There's plenty more to come.
Yeah. Interesting stuff. Someone called me Grumpy the other day.
Grumpy?
Yeah.
Do you know what? We're going back to DeGale, we're going back to Frank Gavin. You're the same. When you're not up for it, your interview's a toilet. When you're up for it and buzzing, like you are today, you're a little bit cheeky today, Coog. Do you know what I mean? You've started back down the gym, haven't you? Getting ready for your big bout.
Big up David Lloyd Basildon.
Yeah. Well, not with the membership fees you told me they charge you. Wow. They're charging you £90 a month at David Lloyd. They should be giving celebrities like you free membership.
I was just going to send them a tweet every now and again.
Mind you, you're not exactly what they're after, are you, in terms of the face of David Lloyd?
Why
Join me down the gym. It hasn't really worked yet, but...
Listen, give it a few months and see what happens.
What's your weight at the moment?
I don't know. I'm frightened to weigh myself.
What do you reckon it is?
I don't know. I'm probably around the 17 and a half.
That probably means 18 and a half.
No, I'm around the 17 and a half.
I'm about the same weight as you. I did a weight session yesterday. Going to start doing a few weights.
Do you know when I know you're in a little bit of a training mode?
Why?
Because it's like 8 o'clock in the morning and you've got a big bottle of water and you're swinging in the car. I know.
That's my training regime. Leave it out.
Fair enough.
I'm so fat. Oh.
I know, listen, we talked to death about Brook the other day, blah, blah, but...
So you're going to talk about it again?
No, I want to talk about it because I want the fight to happen. But obviously Manny Pacquiao was in town the other day. Khan went and met him. You were there. Mm-hmm. Did you see any inklings there that a potential fight could be on the horizon between the two of them?
I think everything stems on Mayweather, doesn't it? It's like...
It's waiting game.
Yeah. And if Mayweather against Pacquiao doesn't happen, then they've both got to fight someone else. So Khan comes back into the game, Obviously, it ain't going to happen in the UK. You've got HBO pay-per-view, it's got to happen at 10 o'clock at night. You're not going to do a show at Wembley at 3 o'clock in the morning. But everyone's waiting, aren't they? The problem we got is that because of Ramadan, I believe Amir can't fight in June, right? So he's got to fight in May, and then I think he can't fight again till November, December. Yeah. It's very difficult to make a huge summer stay. Well, it's impossible. So really, unless he fights Kell Brook in May, which looks like it's definitely not going to happen, when do you fight Kell Brook? In December? Then you have to do it in a stadium, in an arena, and then you can't. Then you have to wait till next May. It's just a bit frustrating. But talked about it.
I know.
I mean, the fact is, nothing changes. Everybody wants to see Kell Brook against Amir Khan. But now, my job, and this is what I've been doing over the last week or so, is looking to make that big fight in July for Kell Brook. And
Marquez is in town?
Marquez is a big target. He's here this week. I've got a meeting with him tomorrow. Big target. I love that fight at Bramall Lane. Love that fight. So, but there's so many other people. I'm talking, we're speaking Madonna, we're talking possibly Thurman or Guerrero or the winner of that fight, or Ortiz, Berto. They're the kind of fights we need to bring in the summer.
Do you feel as though your relationship with Al Hayman is that comfortable where if there is a serious fight you're interested in, that you could have a sensible discussion with him where the fight will actually could get made?
Well, we're doing that already, aren't we?
No, with who?
Well, with Frot Chavez.
But that's on the back burner for the moment, isn't it?
Listen, that was a long, drawn-out conversation where eventually terms were agreed and we couldn't make the fight. because of Froch's injury. And with Brook, don't forget Jojo Dan's an Al Hayman fighter.
As in regards to marquee names.
Well, Froch Chavez was one who really moved. But listen, we're talking all the time. They've got so many fighters. We've got so many fighters. We're going to do a lot of business together. Doesn't mean they're all the time the fights are going to be made. He knows what fights are big. I'm sure he likes Brook Khan. It's a fight that generates a lot of revenue. Tell me a promoter that wouldn't like that fight. So yeah, we've got a great relationship. I'm sure we'll make loads of fights together.
And it seems as though
I'd like to thank Al Hayman.
Everyone thanks Al Hayman.
It's got something like 175 fighters now.
Really?
It's unbelievable.
Are you like the English Al Hayman?
No, because I'm a promoter.
Yeah,
I'm not an advisor.
Yeah.
He doesn't promote fighters, he advises them.
Okay. Announced today, Carl Frampton will fight on ITV on Feb 28th against his mandatory challenger Chris Avalos. That's great for boxing.
Fantastic. I called that, didn't I? We had a meeting, an interview, and I called that. I mean, ITV have long been sort of flirting with the idea of doing something. It's quite I won't go into it, it's quite a complicated deal how it works with them, but brilliant, absolutely brilliant. I've said before, the more channels that show boxing, the better. Obviously, terrestrial, even better. And great, you know, you got that fight's happening the same night as Fury on BoxNation. You know, I mean, that's the only problem you get with the clashes, but you can't help it sometimes, it just happens. You know, we've got the clash, Paul Smith against Arthur Abraham and Golovkin against Murray, same night, but we're working around the transmission times to make sure they don't clash. But in an ideal world, we've covered this before, haven't we? It'd be on totally separate nights, but it doesn't work like that. So, I mean, you know, brilliant terrestrial coverage, bigger audiences. Obviously, the only problem we have as promoters is I've got 40 odd fighters. I have 22 dates a year with Sky, so I need a broadcast that's going to back me, you know, and give me as many shows as I need to develop our stable. And ultimately, our model is to grow fighters big enough to move into the pay-per-view, to turn into a pay-per-view fighter. You know, that's the crown jewel of being a professional fighter.
Obviously, Feb 28th, that date was announced for the Fury Eubank show, and also round about the same time when Frampton was going to fight Avalos. So we knew he wasn't going to fight on BoxNation, but was there ever an approach from Frampton to fight on Sky before this ITV deal got announced?
No. I spoke to Jake McGuigan. I sent him an email, well, a couple of months ago. I just said, "Oh, what are you doing on the TV?" But I didn't get a reply. So I think that made me realise they'd virtually already done a deal. And I called the ITV move. Obviously, Barry's got association there, and they've got some funding as well from a sponsor to make the deal work. So it's great, you know. And like, people say, "Ha, Frampton's on ITV." I'm like, fucking brilliant. When I make Quigg against Frampton, it's even bigger, you know. So the more exposure for boxing, the better. One thing I will say is, and I just said it in an interview with someone important, boxing is sexy again. Look at where we are now. I know it's so boring, I keep going, look at where boxing is now, but now look at boxing. You got Sky, you got BoxNation, you got Channel 5, you got ITV. Inevitably, you will have BT. You know, you got Eurosport. You got 6 channels there transmitting live boxing. It's brilliant.
Let me just draw you a little thing on here, right? So you got Frampton.
Yeah.
You got Quigg.
Yeah.
You got ITV.
Yeah.
You got Sky Sports.
Yeah.
You got an IBF world title.
Yeah.
You got a WBA world title. Whose ball would the court be in?
Right. And right here, you got a pot of money.
Right.
Okay. So, just to tell you about the landscape of the broadcasting world, to make that fight, I cannot see in a million years how the revenue generated through Sky Sports via a pay-per-view event can be even remotely matched by any other broadcaster.
Right.
So one issue you've got with building fighters, this is quite good, this isn't it?
Yeah.
One issue you've got with building fighters on a terrestrial station is, where does the money come from for the major fights? you understand what I'm saying? So if you made Quigg against Frampton, where does the money come from? Are ITV or another broadcaster going to stump up a rights fee for a fight like that? Or more importantly, the rights fee needed? In my opinion, no. But if they did, blimey, I mean, it would do massive numbers. But I don't think it's a model they're looking at. Yeah, maybe in time the landscape will change. I think they've broken down the door a little bit in that respect. Hopefully it'll rate well. And but I feel like to make those fights you need so much money that those broadcasters, i.e. ITV and Channel 5, aren't going to put up money. Froch Groves is a good example. How could I have got the money generated for that fight from a broadcaster, from a terrestrial channel or another broadcaster via a rights fee? The answer is it was impossible. Right. So financially, the best place for a fighter to be is a box office fighter, pay-per-view fighter. And I know that doesn't really make me very popular when I start talking about that, but that's the honest truth. You need to build a fighter to be big enough to one day be a pay-per-view fighter. Carl Frampton would love to be a pay-per-view fighter. The fact that he's doing this gives him much more chance to be, because he's going to become a bigger name. Does that make sense?
Yes, absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you. I like that.
That's good. Maybe next time we should actually have a board and we can do
pinpoint little things. But bottom line is, it's great for boxing and best of luck. And
everything is great for boxing. People say to me, well, why don't you go on terrestrial TV? Because I can't get 22 dates. And I've got a great relationship with Sky, and we've got a new announcement coming soon. And Sky Sports have helped me build our stable of fighters. I couldn't have done it with any other broadcaster. So thanks Al Hayman and thank you Sky Sports.
Do you know, when we have conversations sometimes, and I always say to you, and this is the truth, I go, do something, make something, get us going.
What, like?
No, but I'll say it.
Paper airplane? Or what? Oh, like fights? Yeah.
Because I said to you, this time last year is when, because I was in America, I remember talking to you on the phone, we did a phone interview, and Groves had just been, the IBF had ordered Groves to have... I
don't want you to miss Frankie Gavin. Is Frankie Gavin still there? Yeah, good, okay.
Oh. That was this time last year. Where, in your opinion, is this year's super fight from your side? Where's it coming from?
Well, I think the plans for the super fights moving forward are April 25th at the O2. It's going to be a massive card. Looking at double, triple world title fights.
Involving James Kell?
Quite possibly. In June, I'm looking, or end of May, June, will be Carl Froch. Whether it's Chavez, whether it's Hopkins, whether it's Golovkin, that's when I believe he'll be
fighting. I heard these rumours of Hopkins the other day.
A lot of people like this fight. See you later, Raheem. And then in July, we're talking Brook. We're talking Brook Marquez, we're talking Brook Madonna. I love Brook Madonna. I love Brook Madonna, I love Brook Marquez. Right. And then we're just rolling on from there. I mean, sorry if they're not big enough for you.
I'm saying, but you don't feel you peaked with Froch Groves too?
No, I always said that was pretty special. I'm not sure we're going to get another one like 6, 7, 8
But you're ticking away trying to make a bigger fight than Froch Groves too, surely. That's your job as a promoter.
Yeah, I'm not sure you'll make one though, but of course we want to go to Wembley, we want to go, if everything goes right, we're going to be at Bramwell Lane. I mean, throw Quigg Frampton into the mix there. So there's another great fight that can be made. Crawler, he's going to be challenging for a world title in the summer. But in terms of the Brit super fights, we need a DeGale Groves, we need a Brook Khan, and they're very, very difficult to make, especially the latter. Although, have you noticed how much Amir Khan's talking about Kell Brook lately? It's great to see. I said to Kell the other night, I said, how much is Amir talking about you at the moment? On Twitter, it just comes out at random tweets. If I fought Jojo Dan, what would you say? Well, you're not world champion, so you don't have a mandatory.
But no one can begrudge Khan for chasing the Pacquiaos and Mayweather.
How many times have I said that to you?
Begrudge him for doing
How many times have I said that to you?
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Well, Eddie Hearn, thank you for today. We're going to leave shortly.
Nando's?
If you fancy it.
What's the time?
What time?
1:20 to 2.
Sneak one in.
Maybe not.
Coogan Cassius, Eddie Hearn, IFL TV. Thank you very much. March the 9th, Birmingham. Tickets go on sale.
Week commencing February the 16th.
Okay. Thank you.
Cheers.